Welcome to the Success with Jewelry podcast, where we invite you inside our conversations about business success and marketing for jewelry designers and entrepreneurs.
We're Laryssa and Liz, jewelry marketing experts with a combined 16 years of experience in jewelry marketing and proven track records in helping jewelry brands meet their goals. When you listen to or watch this podcast, you get an intimate and exclusive peek behind the curtain of all the things you wish you could know about earning success in this industry.
Welcome to episode 85. In this episode, Laryssa and I are going to be talking about advocating for yourself and your brand. We also want to tell you about our insider community. When you join, you'll have access to extended episodes full of tips that you can start implementing today and further resources about each topic we discuss. In the bonus content of this episode, we'll dive deeper into how advocating for your brand can lead to opportunities. To get access to exclusive content as well as direct access to me and Laryssa, sign up by visiting successwithjewelry.com. Hey, Laryssa, let's get into it.
Let's advocate for ourselves.
I know. I think that if you love this podcast, we would love for you to leave us a review.
Yeah, advocate for us. And we're advocating for you to advocate for us because we believe in our content.
Yes. And I mean, all of you believe in your businesses so much. And I think designers just, of course you believe in it. It's your passion. But a lot of times I meet designers who aren't promoting themselves, aren't sharing their excitement about their brand, whether it's because they're kind of introverted or they feel uncomfortable talking about themselves. And we just want to make you feel good about advocating for yourself.
And this is not an easy thing to do when it's just you and your business because you have certain comfort levels about things. You have certain ways that you perceive yourself in your business, but this is a chance to really step outside your comfort zone.
And I also think that it's worth saying, and we'll probably talk about this a little bit more throughout the episode, that, as an independent designer, as a solopreneur, as a business owner, and, a lot of people listening are women, I think that, but, I know anybody could kind of feel this way, but I do want to say that it is really important to stand up for yourself and, say what's on your mind, ask questions, ask for what you need, push back on things that don't work for you or your business. All of that is something that you should be considering doing, that you should be doing for your business. And I just really want to encourage and support everyone in doing that.
And it's a crowded industry with a lot of people that are loud voices, dominating voices. And so if you want to, find your place among them, you're going to have to kind of be your own loud voice out there.
Definitely. And you can do it in a way that feels comfortable and feels on brand for you. It doesn't mean that you need to shout into the universe or be aggressive or, do anything that feels very uncomfortable to you. But it's just really about actively promoting and defending, talking about your brand's values, identity, your, products, your design. To influencers, to customers, to potential retail partners, to someone at the grocery store. You want to make sure you're always excited about and talking about your business.
And I do want to mention something just because you're wearing your earrings, your no earrings for people that are listening. It also means knowing when to say no too.
And that it's okay to say no. If somebody's selling you something, you can always say no. If there's an opportunity out there that, maybe other people are taking advantage of, but it doesn't feel good to you, it is okay to say no. There is no magic opportunity that will come your way, even if it feels like it is, even like Bergdorf Goodman's reaching out to do a trunk show or something like that. It's okay to ask questions about that opportunity. It's okay to say no to that opportunity if it doesn't feel right for you. And you, as an advocate for yourself and your brand, should feel empowered to do that.
Wow, Bergdorf Goodman reaching out for a trunk show.
Something you can say no to.
Yeah, might be hard to, but if it's not aligned, don't do it.
Definitely. And also, we've said this before in some of our episodes, but if you have questions about something that you're asking a consultant, you're asking a trade show company, you're asking somebody who's trying to sell you something, if you're met with aggression, that is a huge red flag. And you should never be bullied into doing something or paying money for something.
I think there's this feeling sometimes if someone in a position of authority or even power, because they're the ones like trying to sell you something you need, takes an aggressive tone, it almost makes them feel a little bit more powerful. And you'll be taken aback, like, oh, okay, I guess I should listen to this person. Like they clearly know what they're talking about. But if a tone makes you feel uncomfortable or uncertain, like pay attention to that little intuition voice inside you and know that you have the power to step up to that.
It's really incredible. Like you own your business. You can do anything you want with it. And that should feel just so good, right?
I think it should feel good. Yeah, totally. Why
Yeah,
not?
should feel good. But as Laryssa and I are sitting here and we were talking before we hit record, that it actually feels kind of terrifying.
I mean, you can't know all the things. Even as the business owner, you can't be the expert in all of the things. That's why asking questions are so important. Paying attention to your gut feelings is so important. And another thing that I personally struggle with, I sometimes doubt decisions I make. Like I spiral. And I have to remember a decision is a decision. There's not necessarily a good one or a bad one, but congratulations, like you came to a conclusion and a decision. Some people just put off decisions for years, so if you can say, I'm taking this action and move forward, like you did a good job, and you'll find out whether it was the right decision or not and go from there.
Or you won't find out if it was the right
Yeah,
decision.
that's true.
There
True.
might never be that answer, but saying no is taking action. And I think that's something to remember. Another thing that I find comes across jewelers' inboxes frequently that feels like something you want to say yes to is advertorial opportunities with
Oh
big
no.
magazines.
Yes.
That's okay to say no to. Saying no is great.
I get asked about
I'm
that a
trying to do,
lot.
right. I'd say once a month I'm answering an email of, is this a good opportunity? Should I say yes to this? Which we're always down to answer those types of questions.
Yeah, reach out. I mean, hmm, I was just gonna say something I probably shouldn't say, so you can keep talking.
Oh my goodness. So we kind of got into what we mean by advocating for your brand, but it's also communicating like what's unique about what you do, why you're special, and all of those things. What differentiates your brand. That's something that you should be sharing.
Absolutely.
And it also takes many forms, such as like marketing campaigns, social media engagement, public relations, networking, providing excellent customer service. But the goal of advocating for your brand is to really increase awareness, loyalty, and opportunity.
I think too, sometimes with advocating, you have to think outside the box a little bit, because Liz and I were talking earlier about how all these channels are so crowded, Instagram, email, it's really hard to like get noticed. And part of advocating for yourself is like advocating to also like be different and unique and like find something that will catch people's attention, because it's a noisy space out there.
I think advocating for yourself too is also like really leaning into your unique voice and your niche. And I think that that's something a lot of people tend to be scared to do because it's easier to be everything to everyone. It's not easier, but it feels easier and it feels like less like you're losing, potential clients by, leaning into something really specific. But when we think about our favorite brands, and brands that really stand out to us in what they're doing, um, they're ones that have gone really far into their voice and who they're trying to be and what they're trying to say.
Totally. I think that also can extend to your partnerships as well. Like if you're advocating for yourself in terms of your values and trying to communicate those better, maybe that means you partner with like a nonprofit that is connected to your values, or you collaborate with another business that shares like a similar mission or vision. And that way your advocacy can like spread further and have better reach.
And that's why it's important to be like clear on what your values are or what your business stands for, because you can't stand for everything. Like nobody has enough energy to like be solving all of the world's problems or, advocating for all of the things. So the more you lean into what's important to your brand, the clearer the partnerships that you want to take or the places you want to donate are. It's easier to choose at that point.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, why is advocacy important? And we've kind of mentioned some of this, but it builds awareness, it differentiates you from your competitors, it builds credibility and trust, it drives customer loyalty, it supports the growth of your business. It really removes negative perceptions in a sense, and it attracts great opportunities.
I was just thinking, there's this line. There's this line between advocacy and almost like micromanaging, kind of. Like,
Sure.
especially if you work with like vendors or partners, like advocacy is not bossing people around or kind of like looking over their shoulder and like commanding them to be or do a certain thing. It's almost like empowering other people at the same time because you are so strong in your values and confident that other people are hearing them also.
Yes, that's a good point. That's a good point. When I was writing this outline, like we knew we wanted to talk about advocating for your brand, but it is, as we're talking about it too, like it feels clear, but it also feels kind of vague. Like, what are we talking about?
I know because some of the things we've mentioned kind of just blur into marketing or they blur into like good communications or, things like that, managing.
It's it's so important though, because I think about, okay, sorry, real life story here. There's a tailgate market in my little neighborhood on Wednesdays, and I went and there was this couple selling kimchi. I like kimchi. I don't love kimchi. I don't eat it every day, but they sold me on their kimchi. I said to them, I was like, you have got to be talking to your audience on Instagram. You've got to be telling this story about your kimchi to your email list because them just talking about it, they had like little taste testers, and I had no interest in taste testing these things. And I did because of their story that they told me and how passionate they were in advocating for their brand and why it's important and why we need more kimchi options in Asheville, North Carolina. And I was sold on their kimchi. I bought it from them
I
and
love
it was
that.
good. I had it on my
Mhm.
eggs. It was delicious.
Yeah. No, that's so important because, like, what the heck would you care otherwise?
Oh my goodness. But that's, I mean, I still think of their story and what they told me and how invested I was in their kimchi. I did go and look at their social media presence and it wasn't great. So maybe when I go back to buy more kimchi, I will offer some tidbits of advice. But
I love that.
I mean, this is like, you know, I also like, throughout my years walking trade shows and walking direct to consumer markets, like the people who come at people stopping by their booth with a story, with a compelling story and just like passionate about their brand, I'm so much more likely to be invested and to purchase. But also I'm thinking of this and I'm thinking of the number of times I've walked past booths that have really incredible product or doing something very cool, but then they're not telling me about it or they're not engaged or they're not passionate and I'm less interested.
Yeah, I'm glad you shared that story. I think that's a really good example. You can't be shy about that. You have to share it.
You have to share it. And I know I'm talking like in-person stuff, which is kind of specific, but you want that to be coming across all of your platforms. And I think with Instagram feeling harder and email marketing feeling hard and all the things feeling hard that and just like not having those vanity metrics the way we used to, I feel, artists and brands disengaged. And when I do see a post or receive an email that is excited about what they're doing or telling me a story, it stands out.
Yeah. I think also I can share a personal story. And it's like a completely different example. So sometimes advocating for yourself, I think, won't necessarily like sell products or make major waves, but it will leave you in a position where you can go to sleep at night and like know you did the best you could in a situation, and it almost helps you feel more confident. I've just had some like awkward business situations. Maybe I can think of one. It was like a bigger client where they kind of dropped the ball on a lot of stuff, but I'm going to speak very vaguely. Tried to kind of put the blame of everything on me, I think, because I was one person versus like, let's say 5 people. And it's kind of easy to just have like a scapegoat that's not like fully invested in the business, like a consultant. And being in those situations and kind of hearing yourself almost like be berated in a way and like blamed for a lot of things, and coming to that instead of being upset, but like advocating for yourself and like what you did achieve and accomplish and what you did bring to the table. And a lot of those situations, the other party is not going to even hear you. Like they don't care. It's not going to make a difference. But then you can leave that conversation kind of not feeling deflated and like you did something wrong. Like, like they have their agenda, you have your agenda, but like you did your best to like contribute to whatever situation that was. And I don't know how often like a jewelry business owner would deal with something like that. Like maybe it's a disgruntled customer or like a vendor that's upset or like a retailer that's upset. But if you can advocate saying you did what you were supposed to do on your part and you tried your best, like there's no way you can leave that situation feeling bad about it.
I think it takes a lot of practice and experience to be able to say the things that you want to say and that are on your mind in a way that feels like tactful.
Yeah.
Um, but my favorite kind of saying in my own business is do what you say you're going to do. So if you did that, then you should say that you did it. You know what I mean? You should
That's
stand up
so
for what you're
true. Yeah. And the other
done.
party may not hear it. They might not want to hear it, but at least you're like reiterating that and can feel good, even if you've been like shot down in a way.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that. I mean, I've been in situations like that too. And I know I'm like thinking of the times when younger designers, more emerging designers have been in a situation where it's like uh, an opportunity with a retail partner presents itself and they didn't ask the questions or advocate for what they actually need for their business. So then they're selling something at a lower price than they feel comfortable with. And they're like not making, the margins that they need to be making, or they said yes to a consignment situation and they feel like their work's not being promoted and they didn't like agree to any terms and with that. And you really do need to, I'm kind of in trade show land recently this past year. And I'm always thinking about, if a store comes up to your booth and they're like, your price is too high. It's like, well, why is it too high? Why are you saying that? And asking more questions to it, or even feeling comfortable, like, if you're meeting with a store or a customer, asking them questions, learning about them, feeling comfortable doing that, I think is really important.
It's tough, especially if you're new to it and those kind of things take you aback. Like after a while, you might have enough unfortunately, you'll have enough experiences to just not be shocked or surprised and you'll know how to answer. But the first few times you get into situations like that, it's easy to feel like you're just bowled over by whatever, especially if you just have good intentions and are trying your best. Like you don't expect some of this stuff to come out.
Definitely, but it's okay to, say what's important to you and to ask questions.
Yes.
A few more tips to advocate for your brand, which again, like they fall kind of in the general marketing sphere, but knowing your brand inside out, being authentic, creating and sharing, make sure you're sharing a compelling brand message, because all of you have a compelling story and a compelling message. And it's really important to get that out there and not fall into this trap of general marketing speak because you don't have the time to articulate it or you feel uncomfortable articulating it. We want to hear your true story, the story that you've created around your brand, what you want to share about it. Also, make sure you're engaging with your audience. Think about collaboration, and always encouraging user-generated content could be great ways to advocate for your brand. All right. Do you advocate for your brand? Let us know. Visit successwithjewelry.com. And if you love the podcast, we'd love to hear from you. Send us a message or leave us a review. Thanks for being a part of the community.